Hello, this is Michael Wojcik with a Rochester City Council update for December 1st, 2014. It's about 1:20 in the morning. Just recently got done with the City Council meeting. It was yet another marathon, but pretty broad consensus on the issues that we did have within the council, which usually means that we listened pretty well and came to the same conclusion. So, really about two items I'm going to talk to you about. First of all, it's budget time. We're going to talk a little bit about the budget, and then more importantly, the Chateau Circle, because I know that's what everybody who's tuning in is really interested in, what's happening up north of Walmart in the Northwest. Budget talks began today. We have 3 days of hearings on our budget. A couple of numbers that you might be interested in is based on where the city property tax levies are falling and where some of the other ones are. If you're a homeowner in Rochester, you're probably looking at about a 2.4% increase in your property taxes, and so nothing to get too terribly bent out of shape on. It's pretty good restraint. Also, looking back from 2001 to present, a couple interesting numbers that we found is the actual size of city government. In terms of real numbers per capita, we've actually gone up at about, government has grown at about 1/4% per year over that period of time. So pretty constrained growth while, facing some sprawl challenges and offering more and more services as well. Pretty responsible. Also a couple other breakouts, a couple things that concern me. Over that time, we've increased the relative size of public safety by 10%, but what we did in order to achieve that was we decreased investments in quality of life amenities by 27%. In the long run, that is a bad thing for the community, and we have to figure out how to make sure that we don't cut our quality of life short here. Another interesting way, I actually broke out the costs that were related to sprawl and the costs that were not related to sprawl. What was fascinating there was that we had about 27% increase in expenses related to sprawl, and all the other expenses that we have that are not related to sprawl actually went down about 7%. So you can see sprawl is already having a huge impact on our budget, and why wouldn't it? We're almost the geographic size of Minneapolis with less than 1/3 of the population. Somebody's got to pay for that infrastructure, and obviously it's putting a lot of burden on our property taxes. There's only two kinds of growth. There's smart growth, and you know what? Everything else by default is dumb growth, and it hurts our property taxes first and foremost, even if we don't see it coming. So there's my little to-do on the budget. More information coming on that probably on my website. Let's talk about Chateau Circle in the Northwest. We had a nice long hearing where we heard out everybody. Everyone got to speak, and I think there is tremendous potential in that area, but what we had before us tonight was not great. The first question we had to answer is this area viable for commercial in some form or fashion? And the council, by a 7-0 vote, said yes, that is something that it's an area where commercial could exist. I mean, it's right off of 55th Street, intersection of a couple major roadways in the area. So we did think that commercial could be viable there, but the commercial that was being proposed, and in particular the zoning that was being proposed, the city council pretty strongly rebuked, and I had some pretty harsh words about B4. I have this little saying on B4 is it's the kind of zoning that you would expect to find if you were driving down the interstate and pulled off at an interchange and you saw the gas station, the subway, whatever else there. That's what B4 zoning does for you. So it's not very neighborhood friendly. So I like to say, think before you destroy a neighborhood. Think before you destroy a neighborhood. B4 is very bad for neighborhoods, and that was what the developer was proposing, and they had wanted to back off on that, but bottom line is that's what the hearing we had today was, and that went down in flames by a 7-0 vote. I mean, everybody didn't like the B4 zoning, rightfully so. I mean, it's horrible zoning. I don't know why that even came forward. But also, even the layout itself, I mean, they were doing garbage things like they had a wraparound drive-through on a building that was supposed to be neighborhood friendly. They had a concrete moat facing the neighborhood. Just really, really poor zoning decisions and poor site design. Really no excuse for it in this day and age. That said, you could take the same building that they wanted to do, and you could do some things with orientation, you could do things with different kinds of zoning or special districts, and you could have a fantastic development up there. I mean, right now you have a couple sparse residential properties that don't function real well as residential properties, serving as a buffer between them and 55th Street. with the traffic increasing there, you can do some really cool things with great development to create a far better buffer along Villa Road there, but that's not what we had before us today. I hope that something like that comes back because I think that would be a huge win for the neighborhood, the community, the developer. So I'm really hoping we get something great like that coming back. Different ways that they could go about doing this. They've talked about the B1 zoning. I don't think the B1 zoning really addresses the underlying issue of so much development could, potentially not be friendly to the neighborhood, but we'd of course consider if it came forward. B2 is pedestrian-friendly zoning, which I think might be a fantastic fit. B5, based on what they're saying for the uses and the densities that they're talking about, B5 is neighborhood commercial. Also a possibility for that area, but I think the real winner is probably going to be something like a special district, because there they can articulate with a special district what exactly is allowed, how it's going to look, how it's going to function, and there can be no variances from that. And I think that's the key thing, because I've had a few contentious ones in my own ward, and we pretty much solved it with special district, and not everyone was happy, but almost everyone has been happy with some of the results of that. But the B4, we shot down the B4 zoning by a 7-0 vote. Nobody spoke in favor of it, but nobody had very kind words for B4. And this is before Nick Campion's on the council, and I think he might. My guess is he's probably going to hate B4 more than all the rest of us. And then there were two related items that also got shot down by a 7-0 margin. So, in summary, because it's probably about my bedtime now, zoning is denied by a 7-0 margin, but the underlying land use to accept commercial is passed by that same 7-0 margin. Best possible outcome on this, we get some good work between the neighbors, the city, and the developer. We come up with an outstanding plan. We build it like we say we're going to build it, and we have a great successful development for the developer and a wonderful neighborhood amenity and buffer for the neighborhood that's there. If we could pull that off, that would be just spectacular. What we had in front of us today did not do that. There were talk of what could go there. Bottom line is, once we applied B4, we could have had McDonald's, Wendy's, and Burger King lined up there. Not exactly what I want to see in my neighborhood, and not exactly a buffer either. So, hey, thanks as always for watching. I did take a meeting off last time. I don't do that too very often. But thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.